Caribbean Newsline is brought to you by the Barbados Tourism Marketing Inc.
Elections in Venezuela pushed back a month. Our top story in Caribbean Newsline for Friday, March 2nd. From the CMC News Center in Bridgetown, I'm Dawn Paris. Good evening. Presidential candidates in Venezuela have agreed to delay elections that had been scheduled for April 22nd. The National Electoral Council announced on Thursday that the election will now be held on May 20th. After the agreement reached between the government and some of the country's small opposition parties. Venezuelan officials say the agreement is intended to give candidates more time to campaign and to allow millions of Venezuelan exiles to register to vote abroad. They say it should also pave the way for a jointly proposed team of electoral observers from the United Nations. The announcement has been welcomed by President Nicolas Maduro, who posted on Facebook that democracy and the political rights of voters could only be guaranteed by way of the ballot. He says he wants to go through a process of reconciliation with all Venezuelans. The leading opposition coalition is boycotting the poll, describing it as a farce to legitimize a dictatorship. But one presidential hopeful, Henry Falcon of the Progressive Advance Party, has launched his candidacy. The leading opposition coalition is boycotting the poll, as I mentioned earlier. Grenada's two main political parties have launched their manifesto less than 24 hours apart. On Thursday, the main opposition National Democratic Congress, the NDC, launched its 2018 manifesto online. Party leader Nazim Burke says the plan outlined in the campaign document are achievable and realistic. Speaking at the launch of the digital version of the party's manifesto, Burke said the main priorities of the party will be to provide jobs, improve health care, and empower the population. Some of the plans of the party, should it win the March 13th general election, include the establishment of a national health insurance scheme and a national health fund, which would be partly financed by proceeds from the National Lottery, as well as taxes from the sale of tobacco and alcohol. Meanwhile, the ruling New National Party launched its manifesto on Friday. At the launch, Prime Minister Dr. Keith Mitchell said the document outlines plans that would transform the island into the economic powerhouse of the region. Mitchell's plans also include the launch of a national health insurance, which he says is one of the foundation pillars of a modern society. He added that the idea behind health insurance is to enhance healthcare services and make good healthcare affordable and accessible for all. Still talking elections, the ruling Antigua and Barbuda Labour Party, the ABLP, has launched its manifesto for the March 21st general election. The manifesto promises not to reintroduce income tax, having repealed the fiscal measure 2 years after coming to office in 2016. The document, entitled Vision 2023 and Beyond, says the ABLP remains committed to the view that the income of the individual is best left in his or her pocket. The Gaston Brown administration, which is seeking a second consecutive term in office, is also promising to reduce corporate tax to 20%. Officials from Cuba's electoral office will on Sunday test the electoral process ahead of the March 11th parliamentary elections. The test would seek to identify flaws in the voting process with a view to fixing them before the end of the week. We get more in this report from Richards of Canal Caribe in Cuba.
The Cuban national election committees will be accomplishing a dynamic trial throughout the country. This drill will take place the coming Sunday, 4th of March. That day, the availability of the resources will be tested along with the electoral authorities that will intervene in Cuba's general elections on March the 11th. At the end of this dynamic testing, the electoral district and municipal committees must put together a summary of the exercises, reflecting all the faults and setbacks detected in relation with the material conditions or in the information issues.
Va a aprobar todos los aseguramientos desde el punto de vista logístico que tienen que garantizar las elecciones el día 11. Tiene que ver con todo el soporte informativo, la transmisión de datos, transporte, comunicaciones.
The training of the more than 200,000 electoral authorities is an aspect that has had special attention in Cuba, inasmuch as it is a mass process and many of these authorities are going through this election phase for the first time.
Es importante decir que de proceso electoral a proceso electoral se producen cambios que ciertamente tienen que ver con la experiencia que se va adquiriendo y con siempre la intención de garantizar de que perfeccionar los mecanismos electorales nuestros y demás.
General election will take place on Sunday, March 11th, when Cubans will vote for provincial government delegates and deputies to the National Assembly of People's Power. This is the Cuban Parliament. Now, as it is common here, prior to that moment, all resources, good practices, and personal performance must be put to test. 8 million Cubans have been summoned to vote 1,265 provincial government delegates and 605 parliamentarians for a 5-year term.
Over in Jamaica, scores of job seekers have fallen victim to an overseas job scam, and the Counterterrorism and Organized Crime Investigation Branch, CTOC, is now investigating the program, and a woman is in custody. We get more in this TVJ News report.
An angry crowd gathered at the Christiana police station in Manchester Wednesday morning to voice concerns about an overseas work program that turned out to be a scam. No one wanted to speak on camera except for this lady, Karen Codlin. Miss Codlin says they signed up with a group to get jobs on an overseas work program. They were told to meet at a central point in Christiana on Wednesday, February 28, where a bus would pick them up and take them to the airport. But after hours of waiting, no bus arrived. Several telephone calls were made to the persons who had been organizing the trip, but they were unable to make contact.
All I know is more than 30 people come here this morning. We go from 3 o'clock. We go from Philadelphia. So, you understand? Okay. People get here this morning from 2:30. From 2:30, we go acquiring because of the scamming thing. Them thing I need to cut out.
Ms. Codlin says they spent a lot of money on this program. It is believed persons paid sums ranging from $60,000 to almost $150,000 Jamaican dollars. She says some even sold their animals to pay for the trip. But she's blaming the government for allowing this to happen to them as they're all unemployed.
People want job and the Jamaican government ain't doing nothing, so that's why people are here being scammed because of the recklessness of the Jamaican government. People need work, they want farm work card, because listen to me, if they had gotten chance to get the farm work card, this thing wouldn't be happening. Reason is them want work, them have foreign, not really say being foreign-minded, but they want the opportunity to go to abroad to take care of their family.
Ms. Codlin is calling on the government to intervene. A flyer from the organizers promised jobs as carpenters, plumbers, painters, massage therapists, practical nurses, truck drivers, forklift operators, and teachers. Meanwhile, head of Manchester Police Superintendent Wayne Cameron says a detective from the Counter-Terrorism and Organized Crime (CTOC) investigation branch has taken over the investigation and a woman is in custody. Superintendent Cameron says statements are now being collected from the persons believed to have been scammed.
Still to come in Caribbean Newsline, the Immigration Department in the Bahamas under fire yet again for inhumane treatment of detainees. We'll be right back.
Come and experience fun, meet amazing people, and enjoy fantastic food at the 22nd Annual St. Kitts Music Festival. 5 days of festivities from June 27th to July 1st of 2018, with main stage performances from the 28th to the 30th. Here's the first wave of confirmed acts. The legendary Patti LaBelle, Queen of Dancehall, Spice, Miss Lauryn Hill. Many more acts to be announced. Book now and save the date. For more information, log on to stkitsmusicfestival.net. The St. Kitts Music Festival, an experience like no other.
You've covered unjust mass arrests, of course, for a long time. Is this different? Does this set a new precedent?
What we can see with this in Washington, D.C. is a major shift in policing tactics, a shift back to a period a couple decades ago when you were out in the streets and demonstrations in Washington, you had a very significant likelihood of being subject to mass arrest or to brutality.
We continue in the Bahamas, where the Immigration Department is once again facing allegations of inhumane treatment of detainees. And there are claims of officers demanding payment for release and a slew of ensuing court cases. But the Director of Immigration is reaffirming the department's commitment to getting the job done. We get more in this ZNS Network News report.
No one is above the law, including himself, says recently appointed Director of Immigration Clarence Russell. His comments come as immigration officers battle claims of inhumane treatment by detainees taken into custody during roundups and housed at the Carmichael Road Detention Center and immigration safe houses. It is one reason he says the department is adding more transparency to safeguard the integrity of its operations with the use of body cams and vehicle cams that will be installed in vehicles. He says where there is human interaction, the issue of inhumane treatment will arise.
No one in his right mind would wish to prejudice their case from its inception. And so though it is something that is suggested, and worldwide we know in instances it does in fact occur, if there is evidence out there that something of the sort does occur, rest assured, the public can rest assured, with the inception of our Complaints and Corruption Unit, matters will be investigated, all matters will be investigated, and if our officers are found wanting, then the law will take its course as well.
The department's operations have also been challenged following the outcomes of several court cases, most notably the case of Jean-Ronnie Jean-Charles, a Haitian national who was repatriated and then ordered returned to the Bahamas, with Supreme Court Justice Gregory Hilton ultimately ruling he was unlawfully detained and ordering his release. Hilton made similar rulings this week, resulting in more releases of immigration detainees. Government is appealing Jean-Charles's case, and despite the legal battle, Russell says officers are not discouraged.
In all instances, the Immigration Department take our legal advice from the Honorable Attorney Generals, in whom we have full confidence as the Chief Law Enforcement Officer in the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. And so we are not deterred in any way from doing that which we do. But we will do it so long as I am the director within the confines of the law.
While the department continues to face intense scrutiny, Russell says it is important that he encourages his officers and they stay focused on their roles.
They cannot be focused on what is going on in the press. Once we are doing our jobs, we are confident that those who sit in authority will provide the necessary legislation for us to do our jobs within the confines of the law.
Russell says immigration officers will continue to carry out their duties humanely without fear or favor.
There's a call for stricter laws to protect victims of domestic violence in Trinidad and Tobago. The call comes from attorney at law and lecturer at the Hugh Wooding Law School, Alana Jameson. She made the call during the school's annual walk against domestic violence on Friday. We get more in this CNews report.
Only after breaching a protection order up to 3 times, she said she believes this law is far too lenient, as the victim can be killed long before the arms of justice step in.
Allows for 3 times somebody could breach a protection order. If you think about it, death can occur on the first breach. So for an act to say you can breach it 3 times and on the 3rd time you're in prison for 5 years, I think definitely we need to stop that.
He also believes awareness needs to be raised on exactly what domestic violence is and the different ways it could manifest. As she said, many people still believe it is purely physical violence.
It could be emotional, financial, sexual, verbal for some of the territories. Verbal abuse is also defined.
Still in Trinidad and Tobago, Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley says the opposition is playing political cricket with anti-gang legislation, and he has had enough of it. He said the United National Congress is only calling for sunset clauses in the legislation to delay passage of what he calls a very good bill. But Rowley says he will put country before politics and bend to the opposition's demands.
They've said in DB that we don't need the law. See the 2.5 years that they're offering now. You know what that means? In 2.5 years, the parliament will be dissolved. And there will be no parliament to extend this law if we allow it to fall due in 2.5 years. When the parliament is prorogued, dissolved, who is going to be there to extend it? So it dies. And if that happens, a lot of work being done by the police with respect to gangs, what's going to happen to
Higher than usual tides have caused flooding in several villages along the west coast Demerara in Guyana. Minister in the Ministry of Public Health, Dr. Karen Cummins, as well as a team from the Ministry of Public Infrastructure and officials from the Civil Defense Commission have gone to the areas assessing the situation and distributing supplies. A government statement said the Guyana Fire Service is also assisting in cleaning and securing the Leonora Cottage Hospital, which was affected by the flooding. The Haitian government says it's moving expeditiously to deal with the situation confronting teachers, even as it said it was deeply alarmed by demonstrations being staged by students at the instigation of teachers and/or trade unionists in several cities in the French-speaking Caribbean country. The Prime Minister, National Security Minister, and the Prime Minister, National Education Minister, and Minister of Economy answered questions from members of the Senate Committee on the regularization of teachers and payment of salary arrears. They said the entire state apparatus has been mobilized to provide a speedy response to the problems of teachers' regularization in the classroom without a letter of appointment, as well as the payment of arrears of wages. Lafont confirmed that he'd given instructions that measures be taken as soon as possible to satisfy the teaching staff of public institutions. And ahead in Newsline Sport, changes to the West Indies A squad for the 3 one-day matches against England Lions. We'll be right back.
Come and experience fun, meet amazing people, and enjoy fantastic food at the 22nd Annual Seconds Music Festival. 5 days of festivities from June 27th to July 1st of 2018, with main stage performances from the 28th to the 30th. Here's the first wave of confirmed acts. The legendary Patti LaBelle, Queen of Dancehall, Spice, Miss Lauryn Hill. Many more acts to be announced. Book now and save the date. For more information, log on to SakeItsMusicFestival.net. The Seconds Music Festival, an experience like no other.
Marvel Studios is one of the most successful brands in Hollywood. The Disney subsidiary has broken box office records, brought in more than $13.5 billion worldwide, and had each of its 17 films opened at, guess what, #1. Yet, not many of its films have enjoyed the same level of buzz generated by Black Panther, now the film starring Chadwick Boseman and directed by Ryan Coogler, as we all know.
Now, as far as your music is concerned, I put that on everything. Where was the motivation or the backstory behind that?
Put that on everything is just like being an independent artist is a lot of different struggles. Just being a woman, a lot of different struggles.
I can imagine.
Yeah, growing up in a single-parent household was definitely a big, big struggle. So I just kind of felt like I just wanted to put all my emotions into that record and just kind of say, I put that on everything. They gave me nothing, but,
Continuing with sports now, Test batsman Roston Chase has the changes to the West Indies A squad for the 3 one-day matches against England Lions. Cricket West Indies announced on Friday that a 13-member squad for the 3 matches, which will be contested on March 6th, 9th and 11th at the Coolidge Cricket Ground in Antigua. Chase, the most prolific batsman in the recent Super 50 Cup with 558 runs in 10 matches at an average of 62 for Super 50 Cup runners-up Barbados Pride, has the list of 6 changes from the Test squad. The others coming into the squad are Jamaica Scorpions batsman Andre McCarthy, whose 305 runs at 38.12 was the 5th highest aggregate. Right-handed batsman and part-time left-arm spinner Kevin Hodge from Super 50 Cup champions Windward Islands Volcanoes. Fellow batsman Chandrapal Hemraj, along with his Guyana Jaguars teammates Romario Shepherd and Kimo Paul. Chairman of the CWI selection panel, Courtney Brown, said the players had been identified based on their Super 50 Cup performances. The full squad is Kieran Powell, captain, Jamar Hamilton, vice-captain, Jermaine Blackwood, Roston Chase, Rakeem Cornwall, Chandrapal Hemraj, Kevin Hodge, Andre McCarthy, Kimo Paul, Raymond Reefer, Romario Shepherd, Odin Smith, and Jomel Warrican. West Indies head coach Stuart Law says the side will have to recalibrate its approach to batting in the ICC Cricket World Cup qualifier in order to achieve success. He was speaking after the regional men limped their way through 2 matches against Afghanistan and United Arab Emirates, in which the batting failed to erase concerns about its stability. Law says the wickets in the warm-up matches weren't as conducive as desired, so the West Indies will have to come up with different ways to secure victory. The way he sees it, the qualifier won't be about making 300-plus runs and then bowling teams out, but about working out how to get 180 to 220 runs and then deciding how to get the 10 wickets. He said, quote, "Here we have to lower that target just to make sure we are safe to play better cricket or make better decisions out in the middle and get the job done," end quote. The qualifier opens on Sunday, but West Indies play their first match on Tuesday against the UAE, the side which nearly beat them in the second warm-up match on Thursday. The 2018 qualifier will produce 2 sides that will complete the 10-team lineup for the next ICC Cricket World Cup to be played in England and Wales from May 30th to July 14th next year. Test nations West Indies hosts Zimbabwe, Afghanistan and Ireland missed out on automatic qualification for the World Cup by finishing outside the top 8 on the ICC one-day international team rankings at the cutoff date of September 30th last year. These 4 sides have been joined by Hong Kong, the Netherlands, Nepal, Scotland, Papua New Guinea and the United Arab Emirates for the qualifier. Meanwhile, the Cayman Islands have secured promotion to the next round of the ICC World 2020 qualifiers, this after a second win of the T20 sub-regional qualifiers in Buenos Aires. Following on their 65-run win over Bermuda on Wednesday, Cayman's national cricket squad registered a 43-run victory over host Argentina on Thursday. Man of the match Conroy Wright smacked 48 runs off 19 balls, while Omar Willis contributed 51 runs off 53 balls. Bowler Adrian Wright picked up 4 wickets in 4 overs, while vice-captain Alessandro Morris and Corey Cato picked up 2 wickets each. In other sports now, several of Jamaica's male and female athletes advanced to the semi-finals of various events after performing commendably on the first full day of competition at the IAAF World Indoor Championships in Birmingham, United Kingdom on Friday. Double Olympic gold medalist Elaine Thompson, along with Ramona Burchell and Gayon Evans, all secured their spots in the semi-finals of the women's 60-meter event. Thompson finished second in Heat 2 in 7.20 seconds. The event was won by Maria Jose Talawin in 7.17 seconds. This 25-year-old Thompson, who has a season's best time of 7.12 seconds, had a good start before shutting it down 5 meters from the line, where she was passed by Talawin. Burchell is the fastest Jamaican qualifier. She finished second in Heat 6 in 7.19 seconds. Evans secured her place after finishing third in Heat 4 in 7.33 seconds. Meantime, Stephanie Ann McPherson and debutante Tovia Jenkins advanced after winning their final round heats in the women's 400 meters. McPherson ran a season's best 52.18 seconds, finishing second fastest of the round to win her heat after overtaking Ireland's Phil Healy, who led after 200 meters on the home stretch. Jenkins had an easier passage as she won her heat in 53.39 seconds, well off her personal best of 52.12 seconds set almost a month ago. Meantime, Javon Francis produced a string run at the end to secure his spot in the semifinals of the men's 400 meters. He finished second in Heat 2 in 46.87 seconds to secure an automatic qualifying spot. Francis came off the final bend in last place, but used his strength and top-end speed to run past 3 competitors in the final 20 meters. Jamaica's other competitor in the event, Stephen Gale, failed to advance after he was disqualified from Heat 3. 4 Trinidad and Tobago athletes also took on the track on the opening morning, and they've gone through as well. The details in this CNC3 Sport Report.
London are chilling, but inside the World Indoor Championships was heating up.
Ready to go, a really good start made by Bianca Williams. Gave Oliver a little bit of work to do to come through, but it's actually the Norwegian Okorego who looks like she's taken it.
Michelle Liai opened TNT's competition in Heat 1 of the 60-meter dash. She ran 7.23 seconds to ease into the semis. Kellyanne Batiste was also part of this event, running in Heat 6.
They go, and Swoboda's made a decent start. Also outside her is Burchell. This is very tied up to the line though. And,
she finished 5th with a season best of 7.25 that saw her sneak into the semis as one of the fastest losers. Dion Lendor led the way in Heat 1 of the men's 400-meter dash.
Set.
After he led for much of the race, Poland's Jakub Kraswina mounted a late fight back. His 46.68 seconds eased him into the semis.
And Dion Lendor just feeling the pressure of Kraswina coming up behind him.
In Heat 2, Asa Guevara was flying the TNT flag, on the heels of Slovakian Luka Janicic for much of the race, but surrendered on the home stretch.
And that's the sport. We'll be right back.
Barbados, renowned for its pristine beachfront and fantastic weather, continues to leave quite an impression on newcomers to the island and returning visitors. The Caribbean island, quite popular as a vacation hotspot, is not only beautiful due to its natural aesthetics. The island of Barbados continues to grow in popularity because of unique connections developed with our people, our culture. We can't wait to welcome you.
The major developments of this day, elections in Venezuela pushed back to May 20th. And in sport, Test batsman Waston Chase heads the changes to the West Indies A squad for three one-day matches against England Lions. And that's Caribbean Newsline. For news and sport round the clock, log on to CanadaNews.com. We'll be back here again next Monday. But from all of us at CMC News, thank you for watching and have yourselves a good night.